But first, AITA for buying my 5th property rather than help out my siblings.
Wait, but actually first, shouts out to our newest Patreon members, Caitlin and Lara. Woo, thanks for joining.
Yes, and Sarah is pioneering a new effort, folks. We are bearing listener submissions on the Patreon. We need you guys to join us on the Patreon. So now we're playing games. If you want to hear the listener submish, AITA for not panic buying, you got to get on the Patreon.
That's this week's. You'll hear that later this episode. But this, the bonus episode listener submish is AITA for expecting dinks to work more.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
And I especially love it because you emailed me and you're like, Danny, what's a dink?
I thought it was just like, you dink, like you dipshit.
You freaking dink.
I was like, who is this directed at? No, it's very pointed.
AITA for buying my 5th property rather than helping out the old siblings. For context, even when I, 44M, was a child, I was incredibly into owning property and designing houses.
What?
Okay, Craig.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry, but listen, what? We all would play The Sims just to make the houses. That doesn't make you into designing houses from a young age.
Ridiculous thing. I work as an architect and I'm doing quite well for myself. It's interesting he works as an architect, but
okay, that's
he doesn't
fine.
Identify as an architect.
I know you were not a child buying houses. Like, you played Monopoly. Get over it.
Yeah. Bought my first duplex here in Germany a long time ago where I rent out both part-time. Then I own 2 houses in Italy and 1 in Spain. 2 of them are getting rented out as holiday homes, while the last one I use for vacations and rent out a room to a friend of mine. So I have a lot of passive income at the moment, but only after a lot of time and money investments and refurbishing these houses. I rent in NYC at the moment as my job has made me move here temporarily. Weird move in these trying times, but sure.
Rough.
Hey, everybody, we're moving the company to New York City.
Yeah, right.
My brother, 40AM, has an apartment. He has a family with 2 kids, while my wife and I are childless. They are currently looking to purchase a house that fits all of them nicely. Well, they have found their dream house. It's out of budget for them. Meanwhile, my wife and I are about to buy our 5th house, this time in France. It's going to be one of our largest purchases yet, significantly larger than anything else we have done. It's a great deal on the property, however, and ideally what my wife and I want to retire in. When having a family FaceTime with my siblings and parents, I brought it up. Initially very happy for me, and my brother mentioned how he needs a larger home for his family and how I should give up on this opportunity to give him money for his house and spend the rest on refurbishing their new home. I just laughed and said flat out no. Edit, thought this was a joke. I read that as a joke. This was apparently the wrong move. My entire family turns against me and starts berating me. After 10 minutes of them taking turns telling me to buy my brother a house, I said I'd think about it and left. I'm a bit of a pushover, so after talking to my wife, we agreed we could wait and buy their house and rent it out to them at no profit. Apparently, this was insulting to him, having his younger brother be his landlord, and my parents said I should just outright give him the money we've been saving. I told them to piss off and started moving forward with the paperwork on our house in France. After talking to my friends, they said I should put family first, and it's not like we are struggling for money. Now I'm confused. AITA.
This is like one of those situations that it seems so clearly NTA on paper that I'm wondering like what details this person might be hiding or not mentioning.
Yeah, that's a fair point because it does seem very obvious. I mean, I do want to come for OP on one thing. I don't necessarily think it's his freaking brother. They're all adults. But like, I've talked about this before, but I think being a provider, whether you're a man or a woman, is stressful and it's hard. And I do think that because stereotypically men are the provider, that's the stereotype, they can feel very inadequate. So I guess really the worst thing I could say about him is like this little statement about coming out and being like, yes, we're buying our 5th house. It just seems a little bit like not really empathetic, not really in tune. It's just
it's totally douchey. Because when your brother is looking to find or buy a house and you're like, oh yes, well we are buying our 5th house in France. Like, it's douchey. You don't need to be like this.
Yeah, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't really understand the picture he's painted, and I definitely see what you're saying because it's kind of like, well, so all this family's crazy and are just like, give your brother money, give
Yeah,
your
this is
brother
an
money.
insane request. They're not like, oh, your brother actually would really want that house, and if it's like for some reason wildly below market, like, oh, could you let him actually just put in an offer? It's like, no, you should buy him a house and then also furnish it for him. Like, why? What are they leaving out that this would seem like a reasonable request?
It just seems so crazy. I mean, I'm trying to think maybe like they have a bunch of kids, they're childless, so the parents are kind of like, what? You've got no, you're just indulging
I don't
essentially.
know. Are they like really poor? Like they've been dealt a really bad hand, like something terrible has befallen this family, like that they're kind of like, can't you do your brother a solid? Um I really am wondering what's going on that the family would think that, because they're all like banding together against OP. So I'm like, yeah, I wonder if maybe the brother and his family is poor, if they've been dealt a bad hand, if there was some kind of insane tragedy that befell this family, because I don't understand why the whole rest of the family is like banding together against OP unless they really all are entitled jerks.
Absolutely. And I think that's a perfect example of a time where I'd be like, A, be careful with what you say, don't be callous. And also, like, maybe you should help out, like their last house burned down or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Your last house burned down and your brother lost his job because he had a heart attack or something like that.
yeah, I mean, on the other hand, yeah, yeah. I mean, if there's death, if there's fire, I guess it's really hard, and we're wired very American, but it's just kind of hard to be like, yo, give your family money, even if his kids are, not in an ideal situation or they're not in an ideal living situation, because it's kind of like, well, it's his money and you chose what you chose, dude. That's your path.
Yeah, that is a very American way to put it. I don't love that. I will say that this to me seems like a pretty unreasonable request. Like, I don't know, it's one thing to be like, oh, like I need help with the down payment. I got you, dude. Like that's, and if OP didn't want to do that, I could see more of like a YTA type situation if he was being just like a total Scrooge. But the
Right.
request is so I don't know, it's kind of outrageous.
It's absolutely outrageous, and I actually thought it was a joke. It was a joke that flew. It's a classic entitlement joke.
Right. It's like, haha, yeah, just buy me my mansion and then also all the furniture. I would laugh too.
Ridiculous. Yeah, and also it is their dream house that they're after. It's not really merely like they need a house to have a comfortable life. This is their dream house.
Is
It's
it?
it's.
Wait, let me reread.
Don't they say dream at some point? Fits all of them nicely. I guess they
I
if they
guess
have
I'm
an
wondering, are they
apartment.
like over cramped in a tiny apartment?
It's
I
not.
don't know
He
what's going
says
on here.
apartment. Don Strong writes, NTA, while you could be super generous and help out, it's your money and your decision. Your family's behavior is the type that gives lower income people a bad rep.
I don't know.
It's, I don't, I
That might
just,
be
yeah,
biting off more than you can chew there. Like entitled
there
people.
we go.
I'll give it to you,
Everybody, come
Danny.
on.
I'll give it to you
Come on,
finally.
people.
You got me.
Somebody write this in blood. Sarah finally using my phrase. Golden!
Yeah. I'll give it to you. I think Don S is going there. Entitlement exists at every income bracket.
Aha! I love that.
But yeah.
Emma Michelle says, yes, you're the mega asshole. It's not your responsibility to buy your brother a house, but if not to spend on things you and your loved ones want to need, what's the point of money? Also, hoarding property makes you a shithead too.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's not. I mean, I don't know. Could we get super macro on here and like rail against the system of landlords and tenants? Like, absolutely. Is that kind of missing the point? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I really can't blame this guy. I mean, who doesn't want this life? You save up money and then, You have passive income from your renters. I mean, it's not his fault that the system is messed up and some people can never escape rent. And da 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 da. Hoarding. I don't think this is hoarding. It's ridiculous.
I don't think it's hoarding because he's renting, but
No.
I guess to counter your argument, like no one should ever have like people don't have to apologize for their privilege, but what you should do is like try to find a way to work against it. So you could argue that like if OP is really like, yeah, well, I've just worked harder and been dealt a better hand and it's not my fault and blah blah blah, like, okay, then you could throw your family some kind of a bone. Maybe not this crazy bone.
Right. Well, yeah. No, and you nailed it. If it was like, hey, can you help me with the down payment? We're really struggling. We're really uncomfortable. That's one thing. But furnish my dream home, that's a little bit
Yeah.
different. Lindsay N writes, NTA, sometimes the classic Stone song, You Can't Always Get What You Want, ends at that. So she references this edit on the post.
I love an
This is
edit.
a pretty game-changing edit. OP writes, this edit is super late, but I want to clarify my brother does have money for a 4-bedroom house. He isn't broke, just not enough money for his dream house. The dream house is approximately double as expensive. Now we're getting to true Americans. True Americans live beyond their means, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Let your brother live the dream. Let him get in massive debt that is crushing him.
That would be savage.
With a subprime loan, that's America, baby.
That truly is America. Yeah, that's like honestly insane now. And definitely makes me go into not the asshole territory because now it's like you're actually helping to not enable these people to put themselves into debt.
Exactly. And I mean, this whole thing reeks. I love what you said. There's entitlement at every income bracket, 100%. And I see a lot of entitlement, at least in this version of the story. Max Bruno, our polyamorous previous guest.
Oh, yeah.
Writes, yeah, never felt more alienated from this group reading these comments. Oh, boy. Yes, you're the asshole for not helping your brother's family move into a house when you can obviously afford it. The people on here saying you're not the asshole for refusing to get several of your family members one house they need when you have several more than you need already legitimately baffles me. I mean, I feel like that's
not,
very
wrong. Like it is baffling on paper.
I mean, when you put it that way, but it's sort of like if someone has 5 businesses and someone's like, I don't have any businesses. Can I have one of your businesses? It's like, well, no, they're mine.
I mean, I don't know. I think honestly that the house could have honestly been one thing, but the furnishing really pushed me over the edge.
The furnishing is crazy. Sarah, and this is such victim culture. This like, I want a bigger house. And this is so freaking America. It's just like, it's not even that he wants a bigger house. He's getting a bigger house. He wants a bigger dream, huge house. He wants a freaking 6-bedroom McMansion.
Yeah, I don't know. I also think like when you have entitled people like this, if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. If you give them a house, what are they going to try to take next?
They're gonna take a mansion. Dave B responds to Max Bruno. Dave Bergman, also a previous podcast.
Ooh.
I feel the same way. And then he references the edit. So Dave Bergman was moved by the edit because look, this guy has he can afford a 4-bedroom house. Nobody feels bad for you.
Yeah.
All your kids have their own room. Nobody gives a shit.
Right.
Kelly S. NTA, renting to them at no profit is a great offer. Oh my God, it's an unbelievable offer. If your whole family thinks people should give him money, maybe the whole family should fund it, and you could also contribute rather than be the sole contributor. That's actually very reasonable. That's a good way he could turn this around and say, like, if their request was more reasonable, and say, well, why don't we all pitch in and help Joey get the down payment?
Right.
For
they'd start balking real quick.
4-bedroom? No. We need 5 bedrooms and a swimming pool and a game room because my cousin has that and my neighbors have that. And if we don't have it, then we're losing the American dream. Top Reddit comment, red, black, yellow jam. NTA. You shouldn't have to pay for your brother's house. He should live within his means. Besides, money between family members can be a more dividing issue than most. No joke.
It's actually true. Yeah, I was honestly going to say that being your brother's landlord, I really would not even go there. It just gets so dicey. I think it's sticky, and it's like I would just be in or out and like give them the money as a gift or not. But to make this ongoing like landlord tenant relationship, I wouldn't do it.
On point. I agree with that. Top dissenting comment on Reddit. Didn't have to look too hard for this. Foucault Escapement writes, YTA for sucking the wealth out of countries that aren't your own. I think we start to hit into this like kind of a leftist thing, but I was kind of curious at what this means. Somebody else wrote Asunta 7. I'm from a Spanish city where locals are getting effed by entrepreneurs like you. Maybe the same one where you're having your vacation house. Many Germans around pulling this kind of business. This may come from my personal struggle, but I hope they ban you all and give houses back to the neighbors. Now, I am willing to say that I don't know that I could call this guy an asshole, but it does frustrate me, and this is a problem in New York City, that people buy real estate here as investment property, then they don't live in it. Sometimes they don't even rent it because it's almost not rentable or whatever. They don't want to bother. And then you just have empty apartments in New York, which makes New York worse for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. And then it just jacks up the price for everybody, for like people like us who are living here. So I mean, but I get it.
Yeah, I don't think it makes you an asshole to play the game. I think that's ridiculous. I think you're an asshole if they're clearly trying to combat you, and they are. They've placed restrictions and taxes and stuff, and you try to go around those and circumvent those. But look, this is it. This is the game. He's playing the property. He's playing Monopoly.
I mean, you know what? I kind of want to. I don't really have a problem with these people calling them out because maybe, honestly, like maybe no one has ever brought this to these people's attention, and like maybe they'll think twice. Maybe they probably won't, but like I don't know. Whatever. Shoot your shot. It's taking a left for sure on like the actual issue. I don't know. I don't have a huge problem with it.
No, I don't have a problem with it. And I also think it's very easy to be like, he has 5 houses. But it's like the amount of work it takes to essentially flip a house, it's a shit ton of work. I don't want to do it. That's not the kind of guy I am. So, like, I think it's easy to get in this, like, oh, the bourgeois, the property class. But it's kind of like, look, this guy worked his dick off. They all came from the same freaking family. I'm not coming for OP at all. I think that's
5 ridiculous. Houses is a little crazy, but you could do this kind of zoom out on any post we get here, and it's not going to get us anywhere.
I kind of feel like calling them 5 houses is disingenuous. Like Bill Gates has 5 houses. This guy has 5 investment properties. He's not. He's not necessarily super duper rich. He's got a couple $1 million
probably pretty rich. I have no idea how any of this works.
Well, but I'm just saying it's like not the same as someone.
Gates, but still,
he's not. It's not the same as someone who has 5 of their own houses. He has 5 income generating properties. It's like it's a big difference.
Isn't that even? That means he has more money because if you have 5 vacation homes, you're just using them.
But my point is, if that's his income, right? Like this is how he makes his income. He can't just have the houses. They're literally not available for him. They're income generating properties.
He's
so landlord. Like, yeah, it's like he can just fly to whatever, Germany, France. Oh, we're in our vacation home, So anyway, I think we agree on this. AITA for buying my 5th property rather than help out my siblings. We agree. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. The family is.